Ude Name, Jugan Ude Name, Sat Ude Name, Sri Gurudeve Name, An Ude Name, Jugan Ude Name, Sat Ude Name, Sri Gurudeve Name, Ude Name, Jugan Name, Sat Gude Name, Sri Gurudeve Name, Ude Name, Jugan Ude Name, Sat Gude Name, Sri Gurudeve Name. Rituals are often important, or at least sometimes helpful, because in a certain way they kind of take the energy of the ninth house and bring it into the 10th house. Ninth house is a bit of this, is like dharma in its essence, but to actually then take what you are feeling and experiencing inside of you and then put it outside of you. So bring it into your environment. Sometimes rituals are helpful for that. And then, of course, it strengthens deeper inside of you, too. Say you get up and with like a really grateful heart, you light a little incense because you're happy to be alive again. And you woke up, every night you go to bed, you go take a little death rest. Essentially, this is what it is. And then you wake up, hallelujah. And I'm alive again, thank goodness. You could light an incense. Well, but to kind of ritualize things, sometimes not empty rituals that then we do because this is what you're supposed to do, but something that's meaningful to us, each of us individually. Find your rituals that work for you. You know, we all come from different, this is a total melting pot. It used to be just like, this country was a melting pot. The whole world's becoming a melting pot now because in this information age, everything is so highly connected, even in areas of the world where the cultures are still very traditional. The kids got the internet, you know, and they're experiencing Western culture and all sorts of things via the internet. So everything is in transformation right now. We don't even know what this all is yet. You know, we never quite do. We kind of assume the things are as they are until something comes to shake it and show us that it's actually not that at all. And sometimes that's very difficult when our lives change in such a dramatic way that things that used to really support our happiness no longer do so. So then you got to weave that thing a little different, don't you? So we're still weaving our baskets, really. And the weaving in a certain way at this point can't really happen at like too much more of a philosophical and intellectual level because it's not that difficult to understand. Weave a basket that holds all the ups and downs of life so that regardless of whatever the circumstances of life that do occur, that I don't lose my deeper sense of purposefulness, meaningfulness, my deeper sense of happiness, even blissfulness, and joy. And sometimes it's easy to lose track of our joy because joy isn't a type of thing that just sticks around all the time. That's not how joy really operates. In fact, it is there all the time, but it's not at the feeling level all the time. Sometimes it's sadness, isn't it? And so those all mix into the basket. You know, really they're kind of the same energy that then expresses itself in different ways depending on whatever the circumstances are in our life. Someone passes away, I feel sorrow. Some baby is born, I feel joy. Well, those are two sides of the same coin. And so therefore, in a certain basic way, they come from the same energy. That's what same coin means. It's the same thing. They're coming from the same source, the center of ourselves. And so then once we realize that, and we more so, with our experience, and that's why these meditations are so helpful, because then it's much more easy to keep track of joy. And it doesn't just require a baby being born to experience joy. And also at the same time, it doesn't require someone near and dear to us to feel sorrow. Because anytime we encounter suffering from anyone, we'll feel sorrow. But that sorrow is not a heavy sorrow. The sorrow is that which is stimulating our compassion. And of course, it can be a heavy sorrow. But it doesn't have to be. Because if to feel sorrow is always so heavy, then we can't manage to feel it enough. Sorrow is a part of life. But what our minds do very naturally is they gravitate towards pleasurable feelings, and they magnetically push away unpleasurable feelings. But if sorrow and joy can be experienced more and more as this energy, the same, different expressions of the same energy. That's like different deities, they're different expressions of the same energy. And I think that's why we get a little mixed up and wonky, and when we talk about like monotheism and polytheism. Like when I thought maybe I could study religion in college. At first I was in the recording industry program, but then things changed. I was like, well, maybe religion was the most thing I could find on the list. I was like, okay, religion? And tried it, and no way, I couldn't do it in the academia sense. Monotheism, though, it's almost like we're what we think of God, and if we grew up, say, Christian or Jewish, and then when you talk about deities, these are totally different things, really. It's not really the same idea at all. It's like many gods versus one God. In a certain way, they're all the same thing. I think that's even why Guru Nanak, his first thing, Ik Onkar, is one vibration. It's just one. It's one vibration at the center of everything. But in the center of us is also one vibration in which all our experiences emanate. And so anyhow, when we have that more and more of holding that awareness, so therefore the work becomes being less resistant to unpleasurable experiences. That's not easy. And be less clingy onto pleasurable experiences. This is the work that's done in the quietest parts of ourselves, the most sacred parts of ourselves, because it's the parts of ourselves that only we have access to. Even you can talk about it with your friend, your close friends, and you can process, but still, you can't quite get all that out in words. So that what we're talking about here is we're talking about magnetism. Because that's why magnets have two poles. And so if you have the two magnets together and before they get really close, when they get really close, they go kink. But when they're a little far away, everybody's felt that as a kid, right? You feel that resistance. The resistance is pushing away. So the human psyche, especially when working with it within the context of using your prana, is very much magnetic in how it operates. And so part of the practice of Tantra and yoga, and if we're actually going to be realistic about weaving something that can hold joy and sorrow from the same space equally, we could say baby steps more equally, closer to equally. The balance is starting to get there. But when we can start to work with the life force in that way. That just means very simply this. My life force is becoming more and more well concentrated in my central nervous system, and it's less kind of erratic in my periphery. Yeah, no problem. Gracias. And it's less in my periphery. And here's how I know which is which. When the life force prana is in the more periphery of my nervous system, I have more insecurities. I have more self-doubts. I have more anxiousness. Because when it's in the periphery of the nervous system, it tends to be non-rhythmic in nature and more erratic in nature. In Ayurveda, this is what's called vata. So it's air element, but air element in a bit of a turbulent state. When the life force is more concentrated in the central nervous system, it's a very simple way of thinking about it, but it's functional, is then you get a life force that is more rhythmic in nature, more slow moving in nature. So it has an inner strength. And so you can use that term central nervous system, but the term in yoga is called shushmana, the central channel. And around it spirals how they describe the Ida and Pingala nadis, the feminine and the masculine channels, the Surya and Chandra nadi, sun and moon channel. Chandra channel begins at the left side of the spine, spirals around it, ends at the left nostril. Surya nadi starts at the right side of the spine, they spiral around each other. That's why you see, even in the catechis of the Western medical system, the two snakes spiraling around the center thing. That's where it comes from. It comes from Kundalini mythology. And when we say mythology, it's like mythology, these mythologies are where the truths of life are found. I grew up thinking myths are the things that are fake and real true stories are true. It's like, this is how, somehow maybe I was just dumb, I don't know. But later I learned, just being exposed to really Joseph Campbell, is like, whoa. No, these mythologies are something quite special, actually. It's the stories of life that get to real truths. And real truths are always of somewhat of a transcendent nature, therefore you kind of need stories to bring them forth. And then stories become applicable to our own lives. So when wisdom travels via stories, then we all can hear the stories and we'll hear it in a way that can be applicable to our own experience of our own life. This is why stories are so helpful. And so when our life force is concentrating more central channel, then what will you experience? Instead of anxiety, you'll feel kind of more trusting. You feel more secure in the sense of what's going and what's coming. Anxiety has to do with the future. Depression has to do with the past. This is very general statements because there's all sorts of ways to become depressed and to be anxious. But when we're worrying about something that is coming forward, it's a future. But typically what happens is when we're feeling depressed, depression is of more of a heavy nature. So it has more kapha. And so this has to do with the past, things that have accumulated over time that have now kind of stagnated in the organism. And so when the habits of my yesterday are overpowering my intent for today, then this is what we call like a tamas. It's the dense energy of accumulated past. And in the body, you would just have that. That's the kind of residue that's on the tissues that needs to be purified. That's why we do detoxes and stuff like that once or twice a year. It doesn't have to be detox all the time. Most of the time, and actually in Ayurveda, it's not detox. We have detox mentality, I think, sometimes because we all think there's something wrong with us. Detox is important, maybe couple times a year in terms of a stronger detox. change of the season from the winter to the spring, change of the season from the summer to the fall. Good times for a little bit of detox. And the rest of the time, it's really building, strengthening, and then what we call palliation. Palliation is that you need enough detox to keep the Agni, the fire of the organism, strong. Do you see what I mean? So first example is, most of the time you're building, eating foods that are going to strengthen us, but eating foods that we can digest. And so first thing in the morning, you have like some Tulsi tea in the wintertime. Something like that. Get the Agni going. That's detox. But it's like a light palliative detox to keep the Agni. So if we think less about detoxification and more about Agni, more about how do I keep my fire healthy, because that's what all of the detox is about, is keeping the Agni healthy in the body, the organism. And this is not separate from concentrating life force in your nervous system. It's all connected. In fact, the first starting point of the whole thing is the digestive power. So on the subtle body, or in the life force body, that digestive power comes from your navel point. And so that's why in Kundalini Yoga, so much emphasis on keeping the navel strong, because if you have this part of the body strong, then you can really work with greater ease up here and be more effective and be more sustainable. Because without that strength of core, it tends to get too spacey. Then it's hard to bring things into the earth, into your life. It can be like, whoa, it can be totally blissful up here. You know what I mean? But kind of I need some money. That's going to come more from down here, you see. And and that's real. We all have a dharma, and then we all have artha, and then we all have kama, and then we all have moksha. But the first of the four aims of life is dharma. It's the starting point for everything. But in order then to actually take that dharma into the world, then there comes artha, which means the prosperity that your life needs in order for it to keep going. And depending on what the dharma of that person is, will dictate what the context for prosperity means for you, artha. And then comes kama, that's the pleasures of life, the ability to enjoy life. These are considered in the Vedic culture the four aims of life, that no human life is fully fulfilled unless all four are experienced. But you can't experience the others really unless you have first starting point is dharma. What is some sense of purposefulness? It's not the career. It's not an outer activity. Not dharma. Dharma is I can feel what my life is about. I may not have any clue what it is or what it looks like or how that's going to express itself functionally in the world, but I can feel it, and I'm maintaining connectivity to it. What's the primary way I maintain connectivity to it? Meditation practice. For me, that's the primary way. And I like Kundalini Yoga. But it's really the concepts that are important. And then what tools you apply to it it's endless, the types of tools you can use to apply to the Dharma. But the tools, we start calling the tools Dharma, which is not a wrong use of the word Dharma, but we would say the Buddha's Dharma, or the Sikh Dharma, or the Sanatam Dharma, etc., or the Christ Dharma, or the Judaic Dharma. You can use it all like that. But that's a contextual way of applying the word Dharma. The first thing to my prosperity, though, is I have to feel the purposefulness of my life at some level. And then it doesn't really matter what the job is currently, what the type of work that we're doing. That's why I think sometimes there's overemphasis on what the work is, as opposed to the feeling that is put into whatever the work is. It doesn't mean you don't want to change the work we're doing, but the reality is, what is the work that I have to do today based on the responsibility of my life right now? Here comes Saturn from yesterday. We got past Saturday, and here is still, he's interjecting himself. Responsibility. You know what I mean? What's the work that I have to do today? But if my starting point, that's why it's useful to, get up a little earlier if you can, to give yourself enough time to get your life force concentrated before the rest of the day. So that's what I mean by meditation practice. That's what concentrates. That's how we know when life force is kind of relatively well concentrated in the organism, is that we feel more clear-minded. We feel more sense of I don't know about all this. There's many dramas that are happening in our life. We all have these leelas, these plays of our life, and we have to deal with them, and if you avoid it, it comes to smack you around in another way. So there's no escape. There's no escape. So somehow you got to figure out how to deal with it, and therefore intuition becomes supreme. And so life force is concentrated in the nervous system now, instead of getting this kind of more jittery, erratic life force that causes more of the worrying and insecurities and doubts, which we all have, don't we? We all have doubts. But doubts are in a certain way the opposite of the Dharma. In a certain, Dharma they call dharam. And what is a doubt is you know the word for doubt? Dharam, I'll find it later. But it's the doubt that kind of, if you feel into how do you feel when you're having self-doubt, you can't feel that sense of purpose as well. No problem. That's an opportunity to feel it now more deeply by going through the doubt. See, doubt is not a negative. It's a temporary obstacle. But it's ultimately not a negative, because it's how you sharpen your sword to penetrate deeper into your Dharma. Test your doubt. Step off a limb every once in a while, a safe one. Most of the time. Usually it doesn't have to be a dangerous one. Usually it can be a safe one. Sometimes it has to be a dangerous one. But we would only do a dangerous one if we had the courage to do it. And courage only comes from the heart. It's not a head thing. Even the root word of courage means from the heart. And so I always feel like we don't lack courage. I feel like if we're in our sense of purposefulness, the courage will be there for what your Dharma is all about, definitely. People think, I don't have this, or I'm not really like this. Well, I don't know what anybody's like, but I know that at the center of you is brilliance, and it's unfathomable, actually. It's totally mysterious, and life is about letting the light shine. Just like we learned as little kids. Let your love light shine. But that's, all the obstructions to that shining and all the difficulties. So weaving the basket is how are all those difficulties included in your basket. This is why in Tantra is not like you don't have a spiritual life. You have a life. What isn't spiritual? It doesn't make any sense from that perspective. There's not like you do your spiritual things. But that also becomes a duality too, because you kind of got their spirit. You might have some people will have a few spiritual friends, and then all the other friends, and they're both parts of our lives, So there can become this kind of, but this type of thing can really help, because it doesn't mean you have to mix those lives together necessarily. If you don't want to, do whatever you want, but it's not like there's one thing that's more spiritual and less spiritual. But how do we keep track of our subtlety becomes the question. How do we stay and operate? This is only realistic to even consider these things. Otherwise, it just becomes a little bit idealism. It's only realistic if somehow that the inner environment and your magnetism is backing that up. And by magnetism, meaning you have the magnetism for this mind to maintain a relative happiness even when there's nothing but sorrows around. By relative happiness there, it's a santok. It's content. There's an inner contentment that is there because we know the sorrows comes from the same place as the joys. So now that duality is getting mixed up, and it's not as polarized as something awful is happening. Something horrible is happening because our heart is broken. But it's coming from the same place that when our heart comes back into total love. And broken hearts will make you fall in love more than anything, won't they? It broke open. Oh, now it's tender. And now something can be born. So, you know what I mean? This is the difficulty of Tantra, is because it's not going to exclude anything. Everybody likes it because it's sexy. But it's really everything, you know. When you talk Tantra, what kind of we see mostly now online is what is we could call like and I'm not speaking negatively about it, but it's more like neo-Tantra. You know, it's something new. It's not representative of what Tantra has historically meant. But because it's inclusive of everything, it's non-dualistic in its approach to life, then sure, of course sexuality is a part of it. Everything's a part of it. But do you see what I mean? How it becomes difficult to live in a world where you can't deny, there's nothing you can deny, you know, and cast down as supremely evil. There's relative evil. Evil's just a relative term. Evil's the polarity of like angelic, I guess. But you can't have evil unless you also have angelic. So there's existing in the realm of duality. So here's where it starts to get real trippy. And then people feel like, and there becomes a little bit of a danger there, and the danger is that you become too passive in a certain way because you're now starting to like comprehend things via your experience beyond duality, beyond relative terms, good and bad, left and right. But I also think that's like, this is where it becomes passive when it's a bit on the spacey side. If you get your navel involved with things and you recognize that you're here for only a moment, and this life is very precious, you won't have to look for a dharma. You won't be able to avoid it. And there's times, I say this often, that you wish you could avoid it a little bit. Your mind wants to avoid it, not ever your heart, because it'll make you work, and it'll make you do things where, you know, it would be easier to do something else. My experience, but, you know, this is just me. So I think it's pretty true across the board, though. And it'll make you take leaps of faith and all that type of stuff. It doesn't come, you know, without the accompaniment of doubts. So when we're doubting ourselves, knowing that this is not a horrible thing, but it's something that can actually help to strengthen our resolve by feeling more deeply into the doubting mind. It's not being so convinced of ourselves, not being too convinced of things, and yet being able to tap in and be able to dwell in an inner type of contentment, santok, confidence. The confidence that doesn't come from statuses, relationship statuses, financial statuses, social statuses, career statuses. All those things are helpful. You get a little boost in a status, you're like, yeah, let's go. Feeling yourself. Yeah, this helps. You know, but then sometimes that status is going to go boom, it's going to take a drop. You're going to feel and the whole narrative will change, right? The narrative of the mind is what keeps changing. And if all we know is the narrative of our mind, we're a mess. And if we've mistaken the narratives of our minds to be what we are, we're a mess. And we all know what that feels like. And so And so that's why Maya Angelou used to say, don't pick it up and don't lay it down. What does she mean by that? She said, when they tell you how hot you are, when they tell you you're the best thing, and tell you this, don't pick it up. Because then later, when they tell you ain't shit, and when there's nothing but like insults are coming your way, you have to pick it up then. You will. It will have already been emotionally picked up. And so that's why, to the extent that I'm clinging on to the pleasures of my life emotionally, to the extent that I'm emotionally clinging to the pleasures of my life, it's to that extent that I get emotionally kind of destroyed when the pains come. So that starts to think, well, that seems rather rigid. That seems rather cold. It's not. By being less emotionally clinging, you actually experience real kama, pleasure, enjoyment of life. Because as long as the pursuit of kama, which is one of the three of the four main pursuits of a human life from this perspective, dharma, artha, kama, like the Kama Sutra. But to experience real kama, that has to come from somewhere that's doesn't get moved so dramatically by positive and negative poles, pleasures and pains. And so then, once again, all this happens much more easily when I'm doing something to concentrate my life force, keep my magnetism strong. Then you really enjoy it, actually. I think it's because there's something in there now where you know you're not depending on it for your happiness. And therefore you're able to enjoy pleasures for what they are versus putting mistaken expectations onto them. And that's what the mind tends to do. It tends to mistake what is not real for being real. This is the hallucinations of our life. I mistake something that I thought even just subconsciously. It's not that we're idiots and we know this isn't going to ultimately make us happy, but it's the emotional patterns of the subconscious mind that we're working with. That's why the Kriyas are so powerful. You go long enough, you're way past any rational mind. This don't make no sense that we're still doing it. And now it's working deep into the subconscious. And it's very powerful like that. And that is very purifying, but it's also strengthening because it's when the habits of my yesterday are overpowering my intent for today, I want to purify those habits if they're not helping. And so the inner discovery, yoga and tantra is the discovery of what are the mental and emotional patterns that are causing me unhappiness, and what are the ones that can give me happiness. And that's a journey of many, 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 many lifetimes, I think. And that's what this is all about. It's really cool. And the good news is, it's kind of like a bit of a drag because it's daunting, isn't it? The good news is it's like this. If you knew that you just do it, something could just make you just gradually, little by little, no rush at all, happier and happier. And it's not going to matter what all the other things that happen in our life. We're going to continue to get happier and happier, but maybe just even a little bit. Babyest step. We're not even going to pay attention to it that much, honestly, because we're enjoying ourselves how we are. We're not trying, we've surrendered this idea that we need to fix ourselves. No, we need to make our mind like a diamond. And therefore, there's all sorts of weeds that have to be pulled, and that's hard work. But we're good. We're glorious. We always were that way, innately intelligent, innately wise, innately the very life force of love. And so that's what the human experience is all about. So that's what we mean when we say using these terms like brightening the radiance. It's not just it's not just conceptual, it's experiential. If it's not experiential, then it doesn't really have any power. It doesn't really have any, it's not really your magnetism. Magnetism is only from the inner experience of yourself. And so then the less that my inner energy is being pulled by the fluctuations of the mind, and that's key, because it's not saying that the fluctuations of the mind are going to stop. It's how much does the fluctuations of the mind, to what degree is it influencing the flow of your prana? And so when you're doing kriyas that work on your concentration practices like we've been doing and will be doing today, and you do a lot of them, you only got a little weekend, it's almost over, even though we just passed the halfway point. But it's like this. But it's a little bit of time where you can deeply concentrate that life force. But then we're not going to go out there and act like, well, look how spiritual we are, and then here's this non-spiritual world, because it can feel like that, can't it? And then that creates an us and them divide, and you get a little bit of spirituality complex. Yeah? The spiritual narcissism. Yeah. It's a real thing that kind of most everyone has to work through at some point, because it feels real. It feels like I'm kind of advanced. And he's like, look at all these motherfuckers eating at McDonald's. But that's a trap. I think that's a total trap. Because what is not present in that feeling? Even if it's okay, whatever wisdom you have, fine. But what is the key ingredient that is needed, at least for that feeling? Is compassion. I'm actually have no idea. I don't even know what advanced and non-advanced is, to tell you the truth. I just know what my experience is, and I'm feeling pretty good and relatively happy, and I really can feel what my life is about. I can't explain it most of the time, and it's still largely a mystery to me, but I can feel enough of it that guides me. But I can only feel it for today, you know? I can get a little bit of a sense of like what's coming around the bend. But that's, to me, intuition is the wisdom you need for the moment you need it. It's not predictions of the future time. It's not being psychic. And I think that's an important discernment. Because I think sometimes we hear intuition and we think like knowing the future, which perhaps that there is an aspect of intuition that is connected to the future, just like there's an aspects of intuition that are connected to the past. And so therefore, intuition is about the present, and it's about presence. So in meditative magnetic space, you're not thinking about the future. You know, you're not even really dwelling in the past. There's a type of inner energy that holds your mind in a feeling of bliss, holds your whole presence, mind being the whole biological organism, in a feeling of blissfulness, doesn't it? And if you find that for a moment, enjoy it. That's all. There's nothing to like try to make come out of that. Kama now. Enjoy it. And so actually when I'm more embracive of both polarities of life, there's less, because the same thing is if my experience of others is a very us and them type thing, that's what my experience of myself is inside, definitely. And so I know, like, you know, there's certain, you still have to get into the mythology, though, of your own story, you know? So if you're Aries, you are going to be a leadership type. So it's not denying your feeling of like, and then creating like a kind of a false humility that denies your real kind of sense of knowing and sense of wisdom of what your life is all about, what you're all about, and lean into your strengths. And when it's done without superiority complexes or inferiority complexes, less and less of those, now you can really lean into yourself. Because it's not looking outward, it's not depending on outer things for your status to maintain itself. You know what I mean? You're the leader of the pack by your mythological nature. You don't need that to be verified, from outer experience. Eventually, at first we do, because we need to prove to ourselves that this is who we are, and this is what we're good at. This is my sense of me. Let me put it into work, and we can do that at 15 years old, and we can do that at 85 years old. Anytime. They say, like traditionally in Dharma, of the four aims of life, Dharma is in the first part of life. So ideally, and this would be the reason why we want to try to create environments in our schools, in our families, and in our societies that support healthy growth of human beings. In the community we live in, we have so many great schools that are fantastic for this. I'm very lucky my son goes to a school that they're not projecting so much onto them. They're really helping the kids open up and discover who they are. And then hopefully he won't be like, religious studies, anthropology. Okay, anthropology? I can travel maybe? Something like this. For some of us, for some people, it's like, your thing's there. Yeah, business administration, let's go. That's one mythology. And so ideally, in the first, while they say the body is still growing. So what does it stop growing, like mid-20s type thing? Or late 20s, something like this? They say like an athlete, most athletes are at their prime in the late 20s, when like bone mineralization tends to be at its absolute peak. But our health technology is getting better and better and better. So you got a LeBron James who's almost 40 and still playing like a peak athlete. And you have exceptions to this. They have very strong constitutions of those guys. But generally speaking, in that first part of life, you ideally have a pretty good sense of dharma of your life. Well, that's not always the case. And I think even if the society is great, maybe not always the case. Some people have a sense of it quite early in their lives. Other people, it takes quite a longer time. Yeah? Sometimes it's when you're 50. But then you look back and you saw everything that happened from 0 to 50 was actually part of it. You see? And then the artha time of life, the time where you are responsible. No longer are you living off the family's money in most cases. Now you have to generate your own money, your own resources and then you want to start on the path of generating those resources that are appropriate for your dharma, not for somebody else's, not for the society's projections of what successful or non-successful is. Yeah. So you got to feel it out. Unfortunately, there's not like a clear roadmap that everybody can follow. The roadmap is the inner blossoming that happens. Then you get to the kama part of your life. And so then this is kind of like in the traditional way of looking at it. It's not like most of our lives necessarily going to follow this path. But then the kama part of the life would be, that typically they would say for like for women, menopause age, men, the midlife crisis. Then you're moving into the kama phase of life. And that makes sense. That's what a midlife crisis is really about, you know what, I need to experience more pleasure in life. Isn't it? And so that guy, like, he gets his Harley. And then you go through, so in that time of life, maybe that's when, you want to, I'm finally going to travel the world, or whatever, kama time of life. And then finally you get to the moksha time of life, and the winter of your life. And the moksha time of life is when now literally your bones are becoming lighter and lighter and lighter. So what element is increasing is ether element. And so now even Mother Nature is benevolent in that regard, even though I'm sure it's very difficult to get old. And there's a lot of pains that come along with it, for sure, but the ether is increasing, and that, as a yogi, will help us at least in the way of the subtlety, even if our body is in some pain. Because, and that's why older people do have wisdom. And they, not only from wisdom that they've accumulated through their life, one, true, and then two, because their instrument is become very etheric. And so their ability to kind of feel into the wisdom of life would increase, you know? And so having elders around to transmit to the young people is very important for the young person to figure out their dharma. So that's one reason why it's so fucking hard nowadays, because our family units aren't in the same as they used to be. And furthermore, where do we find elders? And well, they're all around us. But for most of us in modern day civilization, you know, most kids aren't having grandma there in the same way that they did 100 years ago. So these are all things that are in flux and changing, and I'm sure it's going to settle back into something new. But I think we also are stewards of that, you know, that we're able to kind of, at least in our own worlds, following our own path, be able to kind of bring some of those things into our lives and appreciate the older folks around us more, regardless of what you think of them on every other level. This is an elder. Who cares if they like Trump? You know, you can disagree with somebody's politics without disrespecting a person. And instilling that type of virtue back into our hearts is, I think, really important, especially when going through difficult times, and it makes you strong. Because when you're like that, that's not a polarized position. It's being able to, I participate in the relative world, and I participated with my heart. I was watching that World Cup game. I don't care about soccer that much. I don't know much about it at all, but now we've all been like, you know, hypnotized into it by the World Cup. It's fantastic. And the World Cup, and because it's in Dubai, it's like games on at 7 a.m. Awesome. Okay, so I had it on earlier this morning, and I've never seen this French team or Argentinian team play maybe once in my life, and I'm like emotionally involved within 30 minutes. And that's what's so lovely about sports. I love sports because you can kind of participate in this leela of this drama, and at the end of the day, it doesn't mean anything. But that's what we're going to do that. That's why even like the gambling industry is so huge. Like sports, gambling, betting, people, because rooting for your own team isn't enough. I need the dopamine for somebody else's team, so I'm going to put money on them and see if they win, I get more money. So the real chase there isn't money, is it? Because most gamblers never make money. The chase is what? The stimulus. I get to root for somebody. You know, so when you have the opportunity to cheer for somebody, that's a feeling of joy. It's temporary joy, but it's being a participant of the lila, a participant of the drama, a participant of the play, and that's what Tantra is really beautiful for. Because your meditative world and all the other activities of your life are not separate things. And you can go into the middle of the tamas, the more dense areas of life, and it's not contaminating us. We have our sadhanas to take care of ourselves for that. We're wise enough, just like we take a shower, we keep our mind good. That's all. It's not that big of a deal. And then as you follow the path of love, see how you can be helpful. First of all, we know ourselves, and then we can be helpful. And sometimes being helpful, how is it? You actually have some happiness to share. So but first you have to get some happiness yourself. And when you have some happiness to share, you can smile at anyone, and it's a genuine smile. And a genuine smile, I know I have to learn this because how I look. And so like traveling through airports, especially like early 2000s, and you just learn how to you just learn the importance of a genuine smile. And genuine smile really, it dissolves polarity pretty quickly. But therefore, you have to be living from a place where you can have a genuine smile, because you can't fake a genuine smile. Breaking news. Okay, ready? Let's go do some... We're going to go on a bit of a journey here, and I think you'll love it. All right. Just sitting like this. Like a... Hands at the ankles. You feel how the sit bones press down into the cushion as your chest lifts. Now, very deeply inhale. Suspend your breath. And exhale. And come with your hands on the shoulders. And chest lifted, shoulder blades released. The key here is you keep a lift of your pelvic floor. It's really never a bad idea in these exercises to lift your pelvic floor. So much of the ability to continue to do this stuff benefits from kind of on the physical level. Priority numero uno is core strength. Not flexibility. Keep the elbows up at shoulder height. And just go your own pace, your own rhythm. Just find a way that it feels right to you. Inhaling left, exhaling right. And to the center, inhale. Suspension of the breath. Third eye is the gaze. And exhale. That's why the Ajna chakra, the third eye, each chakra is a different lotus with different petals. And the Ajna has the two petals, which represent the positive and negative currents, the Ida and Pingala nadis, Surya and Chandra, masculine and feminine. So by drawing your optic gaze and allowing it to dwell in that area where the root of your nose meets your skull bone, and learning how to relax your gaze and relax your mind into that space, neutralization of the polarities, wisdom mind. Inhale deeply. Suspend the breath, gently lift your pelvic floor and gently draw the navel in and dwell in the third eye space. And exhale. You see, it's no big deal. You don't need anything fantastical to happen. is just taking care of your mind by bringing its energy into that space on a semi-regular basis, maybe even a regular basis. I say semi-regular basis just not to trigger people's subconscious minds too much. You throw that semi in there to take the commitment level down so the subconscious doesn't react. And that's often the game we have to play with our own mind. We have to be easy with ourselves when working to develop the qualities we wish to develop. Baby steps, but not so easy that we're not making progress. And we have to be stern enough with ourselves sometimes to make anything happen. Inhale, squeeze up like this. And exhale, release. Yeah? And come on the hands and knees. Inhale, the head is up. And exhale, the head is down. And deeper the breathing, you know. It's called working with your magnetism. You have a negative pole that's at the base of the spine in the pelvic bowl. And there's a positive pole at the crown of the head and in the brain. So you're moving the life force between the two poles through the channels of the spine. And therefore we want the spine to be nice and supple. That's why we always need good fats and oils in our diet to keep the fatty tissue healthy in the body so that it can hold our good vitality. Vitality is part of magnetism. Different words, really to talk about the same thing. And inhale, head is up. And exhale, the head is down. And relax a child's pose. Okay, now you're gonna come with your hands on the ground and you make your way into downward facing dog. Relaxed child's pose.
Underneath your shoulder blades, legs strong, your core is in. Exhale, then slowly strengthen down, and then upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Inhale into a plank. Core is in, legs are strong. Elbows in, strengthen down. Exhale. Inhale, lift, upward dog. Exhale, downward dog. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Child's pose.
Downward facing dog. Lift up on your toes and then into plank. Exhale. Inhale. 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 Exhale. Child's pose. Make your way onto your backs. What do you think? 2023, like maybe some of those 4 times a week type of thing. Build a little bit of mamsa dhatu. That's the muscle tissue, and it's connected to the skin tissue to strengthen your inner confidence. Inhale deeply. That's I think always very intelligent ways is if you can use the body to adjust the mind, often easier than using the mind to adjust the mind. Take an inhale. Exhale. Come into stretch pose. Deepest inhale. And then everybody's rhythm is so much better today. Good, go. Inhale deep, and then draw your pelvic floor in, and navel is in, and relax. Shorter stretch pose for Sunday morning. But just round 1. After all, it's Sunday. We should be at home watching TV and eating pancakes. And here we are. Some of you also might be at home eating pancakes. And here we are doing ridiculous yoga exercises when we could be at the mall shopping. Oh my God, that sounds horrible. Sign me up for the long stretch pose. Take a deep inhale, fully exhale. One more time, deep inhale. This is all about your core, my friends. Exhale. Come into the position, inhale deep. Our rhythm was good. Satnam, 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 satnam. Inhale deeply. Draw your mula bandha in. Draw your navel deep. So it's shaking deep. Relax. Bravo. Relax, relax, relax. Hummy hum. We are we. It's a mantra of the heart center. Say hum, hum. You feel it in your chest? Hum, hum. The lips, hum. The lips, hum. The lips vibrate when they touch, hum. And the heart vibrates, hum. Hummy hum. Brahm hum. We are Brahm. We are the creation, the creator itself. And the whole web of creation, we are we. We are the web of Brahma. Hug the knees to the chest. Inhale deep. Release your shoulder blades down the back. Exhale. Inhale deep. Listen to the rhythm, my friends. Inhale deep. Squeeze up. release, exhale. Amazing. Hug the knees to the chest, rock a couple of times, come up to easy pose. Inhale. If your chest is lifted and the shoulders release, but you elongate through your arms and the pelvic floor is lifted up, you can feel how the navel movement will lift the prana chi up into your heart center. Listen to the rhythm. Now visualize yourself really like a beautiful radiance, beautiful type of magnetism. And your magnetism and your presence and your light and your radiance is somehow interwoven with all of life. See if you can keep going. See if you can stay the course. Let's see if you can relax into it. Soften the face muscles. Soften the breath. It's like tonifying your subtlety. Inhale. Thumbs come touching. Fingers stretch wide. Release your shoulder blades. Hold the position here. Exhale. Inhale deeply. Extend through your fingertips. Fingers tight like steel. Release the shoulders. Lift the mulabam. Hold the position through your nose. Exhale. Inhale. Fingers tight like steel, shoulder blades released. Open up through the spine. And then very slowly release. Exhale. And just meditate for a moment. Inhale deeply, and then open the legs wide, opening the life nerve. Flex the feet and engage your toes. Inhale. Inhale, center, turn to the either side and fold from your navel. And inhale, lift, strengthen through that leg to help you lift. And fold from the navel. Beautiful. Keep going. Every inhale, feel it. And inhale, and open the legs a little bit wider and continue. And inhale and come up to easy pose. So when you're chanting this, is hum me hum, and then it's Brahm. The tongue straight, it's not Brahm, Brahm. The tongue, because the tongue, when it's Brahm, the tongue will strike your upper palate. Brahm. So it's a rolled R. Brahm, Brahm. So hum me hum, Brahm, hum. It's vibrational medicines. Hum me hum, Brahm, hum, Brahm. Your mudra is beautiful. What you're gonna do is take your hands like in a teepee shape, and then the index finger and the middle finger are gonna curl down so that the first two segments of the index finger and middle fingers connect. They're pointing downward, okay? Makes sense? From the fingernail down to the middle of those fingers, the index and middle fingers connect. Your thumbs point towards you. The thumb tips are touching and pointing towards you. The pinky, Mercury, and ring, Surya, the sun, they're pointing up towards the sky. Making sense? This is the mudra. Now, if you hold it to where your ring finger is at the height of your brow point, third eye, the pinky tips will be at the height of your eyes. And by looking forward with the eyes open, you see two triangles, yes? You see the triangle from your ring Surya finger, and you see the triangle from your pinky fingers. That is your tradak. That is your gaze point, the triangle within the triangle. Eyes relaxing into that gaze point. Eyes are open. Hold the posture with your shoulder blades released. Your heart open. Your core strong. Your chest out. Inhale. Hamiyam Brahmam. Hamiyam Brahmam. Hamiyam Brahmam. Hamiyam Brahmam. Hamiyam Brahmam. Hamiyam Amiyam Brahmam, 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 Amiyam Brahmam. vibrate the sound. And see if you can turn your whole body like a resonation chamber. Use your tongue, your navel, and your lips. See if you can hold the body steady and vibrate the sound current. Of your tongue, lips, and your navel, all to vibrate the heart center. Put your navel into it, please. Your core is strong. Your chest is out. See if you can relax your eyes deeper into the gaze. To just see the shapes of the two triangles. A pyramid inside a pyramid. vibrate, chant it. Final moments. See the triangles. Put your prosperity into it. Put your deep wishes and desires into it. The wishes of your heart. And communicate, vibrate. "60 seconds. Through your nose, inhale. And close your eyes and see the mudra, see the triangles with your closed eyes. And then go beyond the triangles into the formless. And briefly merge your individual self into your infinite self. And then hold the posture, and through your lips, exhale. Inhale. And see the two triangles. See the triangles, and then beyond the triangles into the formless. And briefly dissolve yourself into your infinite self. Eyes are closed. Through the lips. Inhale deeply. And see the triangles, the two pyramids. And beyond the triangles into the formless. And briefly dissolve yourself into your formless, infinite self. Through the lips, exhale and relax. Stretch your arms out like this, please. And open and close your hands several times. And then relax. Okay. Nice work. take a 30-minute break. Enjoy. Get some fresh air. Just beware of the non-spiritual people. Okay, nice work. And that's, so just while I'm thinking about it, this was recorded in June this past year at the summer immersion, and up the road here, and we'll do that again this year. We'll be out at Shady Creek in the Big Top and streaming it everywhere. But we can, have more people at that one, so when we open registration for that, if you want to come, jump in, because it's an extraordinary experience. But also doing these at home, get a friend, create a nice space, put a screen. It also delivers, get good speakers. And so the also Maui in early May will be happening. I'm just thinking of the events that the whole band will be at, inshallah. And so Maui, and then they always here, and so that's why it's also special. It's very rare, actually, these days that we have everyone together. And our dear brother Devin, he has just a family medical thing that kept him from being here. And if there was any way he could be here, he would be here. He loves this as much as the rest of us. And so anyways, enjoy your break. And and also Menla next year will be there, and I think it's in October again. So those will be the big ones for the year. June, Shady Creek. Maui's, much smaller event, and of course a much more expensive event to come to. And it doesn't stream, I don't think. So that's an in-person. It's pretty fantastic. I mean, we're right on the beach at Napili Kai in Maui, and the whole band comes. It's really fantastic. But of course, it's Maui, so it costs a fortune. And then, but Shady Creek does not. That's a kids camp, but it's fantastic. And that's Nevada City in June. And then Menla is lots of options. Menla is an extraordinary place in October. And those will be the big immersions of 2023, and probably, again, winter, a year from now. But I have a hard enough time figuring out next week. Okay, see ya in about 30 minutes.
बिखियन स्यों काहे रचियो निमख न होए उदास कहो नानक हर मना पर न दम की आस तरना को यूं ही गयो तरना को यूं ही गयो लियो जरा तन जीत कहो नानक पज हर मना औज जातु है गीत औज जातु है बिरद पयो सूझे नहीं काल पहुँचियो कहो नानक नरवावरे क्यों न पदे भगवान संदारा संपत्ति सगल संदारा संपत्ति सगल इन अपनी कर्मान इनमें कछ संगी नहीं नानक साखी जान नानक साखी पतत उदाहरण है हर अनाथ के नाथ कहो नानक ते जानिए सदा बस तन तन जी तो को दियो तन तन जी तो को दियो तास्यों में होना कहो नानक नर बाबरे अब क्यों डोलत दीन अब क्यों डोलत दीन तन तन संपै सुख दियो अर जहनी के धाम कहो नानक सुमरे मना सिमरत का सब सुख दाता राम है सब सुख दाता राम दूसर नाहिन कोई कहो नानक सुन रे मना तेरी सिमरत बद होए तेरी सिमरत बद होए जे सिमरत गत पाए तेह पजरे तमीत कहो नानक सुरे मना औज कटक पांच तत्व को तन रचियो पांच तत्व को तन रचियो जानो चतुर कट कट में हर जू बसे संतन कहे ओ पुकार कहो नानक तेह पद मना पौन चले पार सुख दुख जे परसे नहीं सुख दुख जे परसे नहीं लोभ मोह अभिमान कहो नानक सुन रे मना तू मूरत भगवान तू मूरत भगवान उस्तुत निंदिया दे कंचन लोह समान कहो नानक सुन रे मना मुक्त ताहे तैसान हर्ष सोग जागे नहीं हर्ष सोग जागे नहीं दैनी मीत समान कहो नानक सुन रे मना मुकुत ताहे तैसान मुकुत ताहे तैसान हर्ष सोग जागे नहीं हर्ष सोग जागे नहीं दैनिक समान कहो नानक सुन रे मना मुकुत ताहे तैसान मुकुत ताहे तैसान मुकुत ताहे काहू को देत में काहू को देत में न पैमान को नानक सुन रे मना कहो नानक सुन रे मना ज्ञानी ताहे बखान कहो नानक सुन रे मना जे बिख्या सगली तजी लियो पेख बैराग कहो नानक हे माया जे माया ममता सती सब ते पैरो दास कहो नानक सुन रे मना कहो नानक सुन रे मना देह कट ब्रह्म निवास कहो नानक सुन रे मना। ਜੇ ਪ੍ਰਾਨੀ ਹਮੈ ਤਜੀ ਕਰਤਾ ਰਾਮ ਪਛਾਨ ਕਹੋ ਨਾਨਕ ਮੋਹ ਮੁਕਤ ਨਰ ਏ ਮਨ ਸਾਚੀ ਮਾਨ ਪੈ ਨਾਸਨ ਦੁਰਮਤ ਹਰਨ ਪੈ ਨਾਸਨ ਦੁਰਮਤ ਹਰਨ ਕਲ ਮੈਂ ਹਰ ਕੋ ਨਾਮ ਨਿਸ ਦਿਨ ਜੋ ਨਾਨਕ ਭਜੈ ਨਿਸ ਦਿਨ ਜੋ ਨਾਨਕ ਭਜੈ ਸਫਲ ਹੋਏ ਤੇ ਕਾਮ ਨਿਸ ਦਿਨ ਜੋ ਨਾਨਕ ਭਜੈ ਜਿਹਵਾ ਗੁਣ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਭਜੋ ਕਰਮ ਸੁਨੋ ਹਰ ਨਾਮ ਕਹੋ ਨਾਨਕ ਸੁਨ ਰੇ ਮਨਾ ਪਰੇ ਨਾ ਜਮ ਕੈ ਤਾਮ ਜੋ ਪ੍ਰਾਨੀ ਮਮਤਾ ਤਜੈ ਜੋ ਪ੍ਰਾਨੀ ਮਮਤਾ ਤਜੈ ਲੋਭ ਮੋਹ ਅਹੰਕਾਰ ਕਹੋ ਨਾਨਕ ਆਪਨ ਕਰੈ ਕਹੋ ਨਾਨਕ ਆਪਨ ਕਰੈ ਔਰਨ ਲੇਖ ਉਧਾਰ ਕਹੋ ਨਾਨਕ ਆਪਨ ਕਰੈ
Oh, just I was just seeing how I was just taking
ਜੋ ਸੁਪਨਾ ਹਰ ਪ੍ਰੇਰਨਾ ਐਸੇ ਜਗ ਕੋ ਜਾਨ ਇਨ ਮੈਂ ਕੁਛ ਸੋਚੋ ਨਹੀਂ ਨਾਨਕ ਬਿਨ ਭਗਵਾਨ ਨਿਸ ਦਿਨ ਮਾਇਆ ਮਾਰਨੇ ਨਿਸ ਦਿਨ ਮਾਇਆ ਧਾਰਨੇ ਪ੍ਰਾਨੀ ਡੋਲਤ ਲੀਕ ਬੋਟਨ ਮੈਂ ਨਾਨਕ ਬੋਟਨ ਮੈਂ ਨਾਨਕ ਨਾਰਾਇਣ ਜੇ ਜੀਤ ਕੋਟਨ ਮੈਂ ਨਾਨਕ जैसे जल ते बुध बुधा उपजै बिन सैनिक जग रत्न तैसे रची कहो नानक जो सुख को चाहे सदा शरण राम की ले कहो नानक सुन रे मना दुर्लभ मानुष दे माया साधन सावरी माया कारण सावरी मूर्ख लोग मदान को नानक बिन हर पदन कहो नानक बिन हर पदन बिरथा जन्म सिरान कहो नानक बिन हर पदन जो प्राणी निस दिन पधे रूप राम से जान हर जन हर अंतर नहीं नानक साची मान जो प्राणी निस दिन पधे जो प्राणी निस दिन भजै रूप राम ते जान हर जन हर अंतर नहीं हर जन हर अंतर नहीं नानक साची मान हर जन हर अंतर नहीं हर जन हर अंतर नहीं हर जन हर अंतर नहीं मन माया में पद रहे हो मन माया में फंस रहे हो बिसरे हो गोविंद नाम बिसरे हो गोविंद नाम कहो नानक बिन हर भजन कहो नानक बिन हर भजन जीवन को ने काम जीवन को ने काम प्राणी राम राजे गई मत माया के अंध कहो नानक हर भजन बिन कहो नानक हर भजन बिन परत ताहे जम फंद परत ताहे जम फंद सुख में हो संगी पे सुख में हो संगी पे दुख में संग न खोए दुख में संग न खोए कहो नानक सहाई होए, अंत सहाई होए। जन्म जन्म पर मत फिरियो, मिटियो न जम को त्रास। कहो नानक हर पद मना, कहो नानक हर पद मना। निर्भय पावै बस, निर्भय पावै बस। जतन बहुत मैं कर रहे हो, जतन बहुत मैं कर रहे हो। मिट्यो न मन को मान, मिट्यो न मन को मान। दुर्मत स्यो नानक भजो, दुर्मत स्यो नानक भजो। राख ले हो भगवान, राख ले हो भगवान। बाल जवानी अर बिरद पुन, तीन अवस्था जान। कहो नानक हर भजन बिन, कहो नानक हर भजन बिन। बिरथा सब लीमान, बिरथा सब लीमान। करो तो सोना कियो, करो तो सोना कियो। पर्यो लोग कै फंद, पर्यो लोग कै फंद। नानक समेओ राम कहो, नानक समेओ राम कहो। अब क्यों रोवत अंध, अब क्यों रोवत अंध। मन माया में रम रहे हो, निकसत नाहि मीत। नानक मूरत चित जो, नानक मूरत चित जो। छाड़त नान फेर, छाड़त नाहिन फेर। नरहत कछ और, नरहत कछ और की और पही, और की और पही। चितवत रहो ठोर, चितवत रहो ठोर। नानक पानी गल करी, नानक पानी गल करी। जतन बहुत सुख के किए, दुख को कियो न कोय। कहो नानक सुन रे मना, कहो नानक सुन रे मना। हर पावै सो होए, दाता सबको दाता कहो नानक मन सिमरते कहो नानक मन सिमरते पूरन होवे पूरन होवे काम झूठे मान कहा करे जग सुपने जो जान इनमें सच तेरो नहीं इनमें सच तेरो नहीं नानक कहो बखान नानक कहो बखान करत है देखो करत है देखो बिन सचिन में मीत बिन सचिन में मीत ये प्राणी हर जस कहो जे प्राणी हर जस कहो नानक ते जग जीत नानक ते जग जीत नानक ते जग जीत जिन कट सिमरन राम को सो नर मुक्त जान तेह नर हरे अंतर नहीं तेह नर हरे अंतर नहीं नानक साची मान एक भगत भगवान जेह प्राणी के नाहि मन जैसे सूत्र स्वान जैसे सूत्र स्वान नानक मानो ताहे तन स्वामी को ग्रह जो सदा स्वान तजत नहीं नित स्वामी को ग्रह जो सदा स्वान तजत नहीं नित नानक यह बित हर पालो नानक यह बित हर पालो एक मन होए वर्त अरदान कर मन में तरह मान नानक ने फल जात दे नानक ने फल जात दे जो कुंज स्नान सिर कंप्यो पग डगमगे नैन जोत से हीन सिर कंप्यो पग डगमगे नैन जोत से हीन कहो नानक है विद पई कहो नानक है विद पई तो न हर रस निज कर देखो जगत में को काहू को नाहे नानक फिर हर भगत है, नानक फिर हर भगत है, तेरा खो मन माने, जग रचना सब झूठ है।
Okay, come onto your backs, but with like your feet on the floor like this. And your starting point is you're feeling the entire surface underneath you. So open your hands wide, make contact with every part of your hand. And then same with the feet. You should feel fully connected via the feet. Okay, now feel your whole, how from your head all the way down to the base of your spine connected. And from there, engage the pelvic floor. Yeah, that's very good. And then you're going to inhale and lift the pelvis up. And then exhale back down. Go your own pace. Inhaling, lifting the pelvis up. Exhaling back. Pelvic floor remains engaged. Shoulder blades release and chin ever so slightly in, so that when you're inhaling up, it's almost like a spinal flex. It's a lifting through your sternum. And as you're coming down, feel how the spine just gradually makes contact as you exhale down. Until then you have full spinal contact. Magnetism. Okay, then inhale up into the top position. This couldn't be an easier beat to stay in rhythm with. Inhale. Extend up a touch and relax all the way down. This next one takes all your core to even stand a chance. But it's just a tabletop pose. But the point is, it's a full core exercise. So you come sitting kind of like this, with the fingers wide, all the hands connected. Then you Don't injure yourself. Ease your way into it and feel how it can work for you. Get your arms positioned where they feel like they can hold the weight properly. And then it's not very long, but draw your core in, and it's a very deep breath through the nose. And there's like 20 seconds only left. So see if you can do it. And inhale deeply. And draw your core in deep and relax your butt down and relax onto your back. Hug your knees into your chest. Rock a couple of times. And come up the easy pose. Here we're learning how to use our navel in more and more ways. I can communicate with my navel. If you want really something to, this needs to be heard. But you don't normally have to think about that if we just keep a strong core, strong navel. That'll naturally come through. It comes through your confidence. But sometimes you can also have too much navel and be overconfident. That was a little bit obnoxious. Sometimes that happens too, of course. So in developing this energy, it's not just like any time the navel is necessary. It's like sometimes it's like chill on the navel, bro. And so I'm not trying to glorify it too much, but it's also worth developing. It's just the same as saying working with your Mars, or working with your Agni or fire. So in most even of these upper body movement kriyas, it's still navel oriented. It's the whole pivot point for every kriya, every asana. Okay, so when you're doing this, it'll be like this. Your arms are out like here. But first things first, my energy's centered right here. And by the way, navel, just underneath your belly button is the navel point. Just underneath the abdomen, underneath your belly button, that's the physical point that we use for the navel. It was when we were belly button, it was when we're in mama's womb, you get life force from the umbilical cord. Then once that umbilical cord severed, navel time. Okay? Chest is lifted to give the navel space. Arms will be out like this, and it looks like they're gonna hit the chest, but you stop, and like this is why I always stagger if best as possible. If you don't have space in here, there's space on the edges, plenty of space on the edges. So your fingers are firm, and you're gathering the prana at the heart. It's both powerful, but it's also soft, Give it some of your Venus with that Mars. Gathering the prana center of you. And gathering all the energy needed for our great purpose here. With it? Me staying with it? Make it beautiful. You know, feel your inner energy. Feel your chi, your prana, and work with it. Enjoy it. Listen to the breath mantra. The sound of the breath is the first mantra. Then you can put a mantra on top of the breath. And you can have that be the anchor of the mind whenever waves come crashing. Not so much longer now. The exhale and the inhale get equal strength. We're not overemphasizing the exhale. Deeper the breath. Inhale, both arms are out, fingers tight, heart is so soft, expansive, glowing. Relax. Bravo. This time like this. Like this. Here you go. See basically what happens is the fingers are firm, and with it's kind of you're combining force with control. It stops really abruptly. Then when it comes out, it kind of gathers again. It's like tension and release, tension and release, heart energies. And hands are front of the face, and the fingers are firm. Chest lifted. Tendency is hands are above the shoulders. Our shoulders come out. Keep the shoulders down if you can, and transfer that tension in your shoulders down to your core. Lift up your pelvic floor. Drop your shoulders. Sat, sat. If anybody needs space, there's plenty of space over here. There's space over there. Otherwise, keep it moving. Nothing matters but the moment right now. It's almost going, these moments. They're very fleeting. And then it's over. Be here. Inhale. Relax. It's called building your inner strength, isn't it? Magnetic strength. Fantastic vitality. But you can't speed this stuff up, you know. Then if you do that Kriya like 5 more times, oh, wow. No, that'll just be burnout, you know. It's always just kind of feeling in enough is enough. You know, which sounds silly in an immersion weekend where it's like enough was enough like yesterday, you know, but this is a different concept, you know. It's intensive. Okay, hands like this. Fingers firm. Yeah? And what you're going to do is like you're for about 30 seconds, fingers firm. With like a breath of fire, like you're bouncing the energy off the earth, like you would bounce a ball. But you want to bounce the ball with like maximum velocity. Inhale, fingers tight like steel. Relax. Bravo. Come onto your backs. This one's fantastic. And after this one, you go to bed. Like, you know, yoga bed. Yoga class, go to bed. So the full expression of the posture, all your fingertips from both hands press into your navel point, just below your belly button. Your legs will be at full strength, engagement. And then it goes something like this. There's no way to do this for any reasonable amount of time unless your legs are really fully engaged and your core is fully engaged. To the extent that you can do that, keep your legs up as long as you're not feeling any straining. If it starts to strain a little bit, I recommend you relax out of it. You gather your energy and then you come back into it and you keep going through that process. That's how you build. Straining is not how you build. Okay? So with these, exercises like this, they're phenomenal for building, but it's easy to overdo it if you don't set that context for yourself and remind yourself that you don't need to strain. But if you're not straining, it's not overdoing it. You want to hit that point, just like with any type of exercise. You want to hit that point. If you always stay right where you're at, you don't really develop strength. So you have to hit that point and find that threshold where you can push it just a touch, and then you come out of it. You can feel when that point is. Okay? All right, so take that posture. Oh, but, for many people, your hands are not going to be on your navel. They're going to be in fists under your butt, supporting you. Okay? But first of all, your legs are engaged, and the feet usually can be flexed. Toes can be pointed or toes can be flexed, but either way, they're engaged. And you come into it, and then you just breathe really deep. You keep your head down, about 12 inches or so. Start to shake a little. That's not shaking's all right. That's called build the nervous system. This is so fantastic to build the nervous system. And if the nervous system is strong, the mind is more strong. And strengthen the adrenals. Our nervous system is really depleted, our adrenals are depleted. Somebody can just walk up behind us and say, boo, and our world falls apart. But when we're so strong, the waves can come crashing without us losing our sense of beingness. Almost there, friends. It's called building. 'The difficulty, the deeper the breath comes. You have to meet this thing with a powerful deep breath through your nose. Final moments, then full relaxation. Seconds. And now, flex the feet, navel in, core strength is in, and relax. Now close your eyes. And feel at your navel point, just with your mind. And see if you can please imagine like a light intelligence, a healing, because it's healing because it's love, it's living love, life force, intelligence, as kind of generating at your navel point, and then kind of flowing all throughout the channels and tissue layers of your body, subtle channels of the mind, the psyche, and then just in that type of clear light field, just go to sleep. Inhale. Exhale. And bring all your energy all the way back into your body. Feel your body making contact with the surface. Feel the weight of your body, feel gravity weighting your body onto the earth. Feel the blood moving vitally through your veins. Feel the strength of your heartbeat. Don't question it. Feel its intelligence, feel its strength. Feel the vitality of your lungs as the air comes in through your nose and oxygen into the bloodstream. And then it takes out what is not necessary, but that's what the plants need. So our lungs are like upside down trees. We're the opposite of the plant world. We rely on each other. Deepening the breath. The trachea is like the trunk of the tree. The bronchi and bronchioles are like the limbs, and the limbs that come off the limbs. And the alveoli, where you exchange oxygen into the blood, are like your leaves. And you're a vital organism, a vital creature, a vital living ecology. And all the cells of all the tissue layers, feeling their intelligence, feeling their vitality. The brain tissue, feeling its intelligence, feeling its vitality, very comfortable moving its electricity through your nervous system. Because the nervous system is nice and strong, and there's a certain ease there. Feel it. Make your life your art piece. Lean into your grandness. And that starts with your inner vitality. And even the subtle bodies, the mind, the sheath of you that is your mental and emotional psyche. Feeling safe, comfortable, vital, enlivened, creative, inspired, relaxed, available to enjoy our life. And inhale and bring your knees up into the chest, and exhale, and then rock and roll and come up. Take the hands into the purples. And take a moment to kind of tune back into your sense of motivation, aspiration. What's really more ultimately most important to our lives. And how interwoven we are together. And if anything is helpful to me, may that also be helpful to somebody else. If I'm able to have some happiness, may I be able to share that happiness with somebody else. And that generosity of heart, that gives meaning to our lives. We keep it all to ourselves and the meaning starts to slip away. So it's very beautifully done by just taking a moment to kind of interweave your heart space with the whole web of the great creation. What is this majesty of this world that we live in? Swimming creatures under the earth, under the water, flying creatures in the sky, plant creatures coming out of the earth, fungi creatures with a vast mycelium network underneath us. And then all we see is a little fruit of a mushroom sprout out. And even our bodies are closer to mushrooms than they are plants. That's why it's satisfying for us vegetarians. It feels like we're eating a little bit of meat. So we're interwoven and interconnected. Our food comes from this. Our bodies come to this, and our bodies are one day going back into this. But what's the part of me that will travel on? And may that light shine forever bright. And that wish holds true across the board. Beyond, as far as beings are, that's how far that wish travels. And then you just give it away. You give it away and put it into the space, put it into the sound, let it travel. Good work is done. Sat Nam, Sat Nam, Sat Nam. Okay, nice work, everybody. I think we did a good job. And it's a beautiful afternoon ahead. So, enjoy lunch. We'll be back at whatever the 3:30 is our start time, planned start time. Is that true? 3:30. So 3:30 Pacific time is when we'll be back here, and enjoy everybody.